everybody. It is Chris. For anybody new here, my name is Chris, and this is my so-called mixed channel, the coolest channel on YouTube by far. And today, I thought we would have a little talk about this. Yes, my so-called mix has been released about a couple days ago. I put it up there. And I know some people have been watching it, which is good. So I thought it would be a good time to, I don't know, have a little talk about it. So, much better. Okay. So, my so-called mix, at long last, it's here. So it occurred to me that if you've never seen the show, it might be a little confusing. You may wonder what the hell this is all about. And also, even if you have seen the show, I have to admit, even to myself, it was 25 years ago. And so many people might be a little rusty. So, why don't we just go through a couple things about it. So a lot of stuff happens during this show. And one of the hardest things was trying to figure out what to focus on when trying to condense it down. What is the actual, like, overarching theme of this show? Like, what happened? I think that the best way to explain this mix is to break it down into 4 sections. Let's go through them. Section 1, we'll just call the meet and greet. Section 2, Jordan Catalano. Section 3, the betrayal. And section 4, the letter. So, part 1, meet and greet. We're talking about 4 people here. There's Angela Chase, our hero, Claire Danes, in one of the greatest breakout roles in history. I think Claire Danes was 13 years old when they started filming this, which you would never think, because she's just so amazing. So it's her, and you're always in her head. So when you listen to this mix, you're going to hear a lot of voiceovers with her.
Who are you looking for? Nobody. School is a battlefield for your heart.
And that's how the show was. It was always, you know, pretty music and her talking. It's all about what's in her head. So it follows her, her best friend, Rayanne Graff, sort of a party girl.
He's still the type of dad that would lay 2 debt tickets on you. Out of nowhere. That's what matters.
All things just keep getting better.
Brian Krakow, who I do not mention by name in the mix. I tried to make it a little more subtle with him. But the track The Boy Next Door, because he always lived next to Angela, is for him. He's sort of this little strange dude. And he's secretly in love with Angela. So remember that, because that comes into play later. So everything's all hunky-dory with all the friends, right? Although Brian Krakow isn't really a friend. It's basically about Angela, Rayanne, and Ricky. And then we meet Jordan Catalano, who is a hot, simple-minded guy who Angela immediately falls in love with. And so part 2 is all about her and him. Yeah, anyway, from Jordan Catalano to Borderline is section 2. And eventually they do get together. Although, I mean, we're talking this takes episodes to do, you know. So, but eventually, you could say that they start Frenching. So it's all very high school. You gotta know, just know that. And so, section 2 is just basically about those two and what they do. So, section 3, the betrayal. I guess you could say this begins with Throwaway, track 13, which this track is actually about Ricky, because in the show, he actually gets kicked out of his house, or it's more like the people he was living with, and I don't even know if they were his parents, they like move away, and he's basically homeless. It's awful. It's really sad. And there's this whole thing with him and this gay teacher, and he goes to, live there and whatnot, but I'm like, I can't get into it. I couldn't get into all of it. But I did want to put that in there, just to acknowledge his struggle. So Rayanne gets wasted. No, more than wasted. She gets obliviated, which is, why I put the track Obliviate on there, that we're talking about her getting blackout drunk. Which she does throughout the show, but she does here, and then she and Jordan Catalano have sex in the back of his car. And that's the betrayal. Angela finds out, and everything just explodes. It's awful. Their friendship is over. The track Blind People is actually, it's hard to explain. They were rehearsing for a play, so that's why it sounds like they're on a stage, because they are doing the play Our Town, but somehow they're like talking to each other. It's an incredible scene.
Were you happy? No. I should have listened to you.
Their friendship is over. Angela and Jordan's relationship is kaput. And everything sucks. Which brings us to the final part of the mix, the letter. Starting with, Guide My Sword and The Dream. And what happens here is that Jordan Catalano realizes that he does love Angela, he wants her back, and he tries to figure out how to do that. And, it's decided that he's going to write her a letter. The problem is that Jordan Catalano can barely read. And he's being tutored by Brian Krakow. And somehow it comes to pass that Brian Krakow writes the letter for Jordan Catalano and gives it to Angela. So, I don't know. It's sort of like the movie Roxanne in that way. Yeah, kind of. So Brian Krakow writes the letter. Angela gets it. She and Jordan get back together. And then it comes to pass that she finds out that it was actually Brian who wrote the letter, and which is the track On the Street, where he basically sort of admits it, and she realizes it.
You liked it though, right? It made you happy?
Yeah.
Because that's probably all that, matters.
To who?
To, the person who wrote it.
that is actually where the show ends. That was the last scene ever filmed. And it ends with Brian Krakow on his bike in the street when she and Jordan just drive off. Sucks. And so after that, then I kind of wrap it up with a couple more songs. And try to put a nice little bow on it and do the end credits, and we're done. You know, it was actually a lot more difficult to try to explain this than it was to make it, and maybe I'm trying too hard. Okay, maybe I'm being a tryhard. Maybe. I hate being a tryhard. You know what? Screw this. Let's get out of here. BAM! So look. That is my so-called mix. Now, I did want to say this. I know it has been very so-call-y lately. The so-called theme, the so-called channel, the so-called mix. I get it. I'm over it too. I really didn't mean it to be so-call-y. But, you know, it's just the way it happened. I didn't want it too quotey. You know me. I like my quotes. But I didn't want to stuff it to the brim with so much stuff that you just be like, you know, no. It had to be simple and yet complex enough to convey, you know, the main points of the story. And I hope it achieved that. And yeah, I think I just need to get off camera before I completely just go insane. All right, I'm going to attempt to edit this together into something coherent. So, just wanted to say I love you all. I hope you enjoy my so-called mix. And yeah. I hope you all have a good day or night wherever you are. And I'll talk to you soon.